Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance in class today. As you are obviously aware that I am in need of recording today's video, and I will also have a recorded video for tomorrow's class. Today I have to be a mom. I've got to take my girls to the dentist. Nothing serious, just a regular routine and checkup. Tomorrow, though, I will be attending a funeral for former missionary Reverend Edward Allard. He and his wife were missionaries in Africa for many, many decades, actually, and he has passed away, and so I will be representing our family and attending that funeral. But I did want to make sure that I made the extra effort to have class prepared for you all. So these may be shorter classes today and tomorrow, but I don't suspect I will have too many complaints about that. So we are currently in the chapter regarding spiritual authority. We have discussed the calling, we have discussed character, and we have discussed commitment, which is where we left off last week. When you guys were doing exams, we had that little we snuck in a class there. But today we're going to talk about consistency. This is level 4, step 4 in the acquiring of spiritual authority. And consistency is probably one of the hardest things for us as human beings to make a part of who we are and how we behave and how we act, mostly because it requires a tremendous amount of effort. Not all of us have that innate drive to show up all the time, and not just show up, but to be someone that you can count on, someone that you can depend on. We allow certain things to affect maybe our performance, or maybe our arrival time. I know in the Philippines it can be very tricky because there is a traffic issue that is always an issue regardless of the day or time. Here in the US, we have what we call rush hour traffic, where people are either headed to work or heading home from work. And so those times are when we try to avoid. And when you learn those, then you can be more consistent in how you plan your day or your efforts. But when you learn to operate by faith rather than feelings, then you can gain authority. You can gain spiritual authority. Now, one thing that you and I both have in common, regardless of, where you're born, who you are, male or female, we all have feelings and we all have emotions, and they are not bad things. These are things that make us and define who we are, who our character is, our different preferences, things like that. So emotions are not necessarily a bad thing. However, emotions can be something that takes over or takes control of how you behave, how you react, and how you respond to certain situations. Sometimes there are circumstances where you need an emotional response. If there's something sad or if there's something tragic, obviously you're going to respond in an emotional way to that. You're going to be sad, you're going to be upset. But there is a difference in having an emotional response to something and then allowing those emotions to control the way that you react in general in life. So when you're not able to master your emotions, again, we're on page 82 in our books. I can't remember if I said that or not, but page 82, you're going to be given to volatile feelings that comes with victory or defeat. So when things are great, it's easy to have a great attitude. It's easy to do all the wonderful things that you're supposed to do. When life is good, everything's going your way. But what happens when life isn't necessarily going your way? When you're going through something that's very challenging, or when you're being tested by something, how are you acting? How are you behaving? What is your response to those daily or, little bitty irritations that life can bring you? So consistency is going to show in your behavior. So the two examples they give you here, starting on page 80, bottom of 82, and then on to page 83, is the two different leaders that they compare. The first leader is Saul. Saul was chosen to be a leader. He was a tall leader. He was head and shoulders above the crowd. He seemed like a mighty man of war, a man that was intelligent, a man that was capable, a man that was qualified. But Saul was a very poor leader, and that was primarily because when you're reading about Saul, you'll notice this, that Saul tended to react and respond based on circumstances and based on emotions of what was happening or what he was feeling about what was happening around him. He could be very bold, and then he could be very timid. He could be very cruel, and then he can be very kind. Think of the way he chased after David. He could be very obedient, and then he would be very disobedient. He was very devoted, and then at times he could be very faithless. Eventually, the Spirit of the Lord actually departed from Saul, and once that happened, Saul's erratic or inconsistent behavior became even worse. So Saul had an opportunity to learn and to adjust his behavior and his emotions and to get a hold of those and to be in control of them when the Spirit of the Lord was with him. So you and I, with being filled with the Holy Ghost, we have a supernatural power within us that allows us to be able to take control of those emotions and not let those emotions control us. Saul allowed everything to just be affected by how he was feeling or his circumstances, and eventually the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and his life just went downhill from there. Now, the counterpart to this is what a good leader looks like. What is a good leader? How do they act? How do they respond? Well, a very excellent example of this is Daniel. Daniel, he did not let his emotions, he did not even let the fear of death change his behavior or change his consistent walk that he had with the Lord. He was very particular about the times of day that he would pray, when he would pray, how he would pray, and he wasn't shy about it. He didn't do it in secret. It was a very public or well-known thing that Daniel had these habits, this behavior, this character, which is the very thing that got Daniel in trouble with the king, because it was just who he was. It was how he behaved. It was what he did. Excuse me. Daniel stayed consistent in prayer even when it became dangerous for him to do so. And at the end of the story, you guys all know, did I say David? I meant Daniel. At the end of the story of Daniel, when he's thrown into the lion's den, what happens? Daniel receives victory. Why? Because the Lord was rewarding that consistent behavior or that character that Daniel was able to display even in the face of potentially death. So you're going to learn how to take control of your emotions. You're going to base and make your choices on your deepest sets of values. A lot of times it's very hard to not let the emotions affect the decisions that you make or affect the words that you say or affect your response to situations, especially when there is hurt involved. It's very difficult to be able to master that. And some people have an easy time with it. Some people have a very good self-control and they don't necessarily respond that way. But, you know, occasionally some of us, we fly off the handle. We get upset about something. We say something without thinking. And these are ways that when you're in leadership, you don't necessarily have that freedom to do. You need to be able to learn how to control that. So feelings are very temperamental. You can wake up one day, feel great, have a great day, things are wonderful, and you get a phone call. And what happens? Oh, it's a bad phone call. Something's happened. You have a problem you have to deal with. And all of a sudden, this feeling of, you know, lightness, of happiness, of things are just going my way. It's a wonderful day. I love the Lord. I love all these things. And then now it's frustration. It's disappointment. It's hurt. It's upset. And what happens is that it's okay to have these feelings. Okay? It is okay to be upset. It is okay to be frustrated. It is okay to be disappointed. Okay? None of these feelings are bad or feelings that you should avoid. Okay, listen, hear what I'm saying right now. As human beings, we can't avoid feeling those feelings. We're humans. This is just how we react. The difference between feeling those feelings and reacting based on those feelings is shown in your level of consistency of character. So just because I am hurt, just because I am disappointed, just because I am frustrated, doesn't mean that my character changes. Okay, even if I'm upset, even if I am the maddest I have ever been, the most angry, the most hurt, the most betrayed I have ever been, I am still going to serve the Lord. I am still going to show God's love and mercy to those around me. It's not going to change the words that I say. It's not going to change the places I go. It's not going to change how I act. Now, I may be inwardly just beside myself, just upset, crumbled, hurt, rejected, whatever, all of those feelings, completely valid feelings. I'm not trying to tell you that you can never feel that way, because it would be impossible. But the way I behave, regardless of how I feel, is how I show my consistency and how I can achieve and maintain spiritual authority. Just because you're upset doesn't give you a right to start swearing or to start, maybe another bad habit. Oh, I had a bad day, so I'm just going to throw in the towel on this whole God thing, on this whole church thing, and, this isn't just going my way. That would be an extreme example, to say the least, but the way we live for God and the way we serve God is not based on, number one, what he does for us, but it's also not based on how we feel, because serving the Lord is a choice, okay? Consistency is a choice. It is something that you have to take an active part in and make a conscious decision on. I am choosing to act godly. I am choosing to live holy. I am choosing to let my emotions come as they will, but I am not going to react based off of those emotions. You don't have to avoid or deny them. Like I said, there's no sense in it. You don't even try, okay? I mean, we're humans. We get mad, we get upset, we get hurt. But your behavior should never, ever waver. Your Christian character should never waver. One of the most powerful things that I think leaders can show is in a situation where there is disappointment or frustration, is for that leader to show still his or her ability to lead regardless of the disappointment or the frustration or the hurt. When those that are following you can see that, hey, wow, that had to hurt, that had to be painful, that had to be challenging for them to go through, and yet look at them, they're still serving the Lord, they're still worshiping in the altar, they're still faithful in all of the things that they've been asked and required to do. That will show, your consistency will show itself to those that are following you, and it will be an example of your spiritual authority that is within you. Probably one of the most greatest life lessons that you can ever learn, and if you're taking notes, this is definitely something you should write down. Big or important decisions, okay, regardless of what it is, makes no difference. Big or important decisions should never, never, never be made when you feel big emotions, okay? When you have been hurt, when you have been betrayed, when the person that you felt would always love you, that would never do anything to hurt you, when they have just stabbed you right in the back, our initial response is to be like, okay, that's it. I give up. I quit. I'm moving on. I'm leaving town. I'm going to change my address. I'm changing churches. I'm going to, just completely do away with this relationship. I'm no longer going to have, anything to do with this person because this pain is just too intense. Well, maybe the pain and the hurt is something that you needed to experience within this relationship in order for you to know and to understand that this person was not someone that you needed in your life. Maybe this person was, a bad influence or someone that was causing you some spiritual, this is not exactly the right word, but like a spiritual depression, or they were keeping you withheld from the place and purpose that God wanted to be. So there needed to be a big blow up. But you don't necessarily have to react in that moment. Why? Because maybe there's an opportunity for you to reconcile. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to learn through this and together come back to a place of a renewed relationship and a renewed friendship. The other extreme of this example is, this is actually a funny story. Many years ago when I was in Bible school, when Trent and I first met, and I can't remember if I've shared this story at all with you guys, but this particular part definitely fits. I had asked God, I was looking for my soulmate. I was looking for, the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. It was important to me. And I see this guy, Trent, and I'm just like overwhelmed with emotion. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the one. He's it. This is, the best thing that's ever happened to me. And as a female, I know that I tend to be overly emotional about those types of things. And so it really concerned me that I would jump into a relationship with someone and be stuck with them for the rest of my life and it not be the will of God that we be together. And the most important thing to me at that time, and still to this day, was I wanted to be in right relationship with the Lord. So meeting some great, fantastic guy was awesome. But if he and I could not serve the Lord together, then it was basically going to be a waste of my time and going to be a waste of his time. And, I knew at that time that he was already evangelizing, and I didn't want to be a detriment to his ministry either. So when I would pray about this, I literally said the words out loud and meant them. Lord, if he and I are not supposed to be together, I just kill him, take him out of my life, completely remove him from, my field of vision. I don't want to be around him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to be, just get rid of him. Whatever you have to do, Lord, I don't want to mess this thing up that you and I have going, and I don't want to be a hindrance to his ministry either. And the more I prayed for the Lord to remove him from my heart, from my mind, from all of those things, the more peace I had about our relationship, the more confident I felt about what I was feeling, the more kind of relaxed, the more secure I felt, the more safe I felt. Like, oh, this is actually a decision that is a good decision, that is a healthy decision. And I'm not just basing this off of, those little butterflies in your stomach or that little flutter in your heart when he's, looks at you that certain way. It was something that truly was designed by the Lord. So our getting together was not like an overnight thing. It wasn't like, just a whirlwind romance, even though it did happen very, very quickly. It was something that I took very careful and serious prayer about. And I just did not let that emotion, that elation of love to help me make that decision. This may not be something I need to post, for public consumption, but nevertheless. So my point with all of that saying is that when I did not react in a way that was based on how I felt, but I would turn to prayer and ask the Lord to be the one that was guiding my heart, that was guiding my mind, that was making sure that I was keeping him first above all things, and that I was keeping my priorities straight, that I was keeping a consistent prayer life, a consistent walk with the Lord, and a consistent relationship with him. The fact that those things did not change was also another indicator to me that this was going to be okay, that this was a good decision. So choosing to walk in the Spirit means walking according to what you know, Okay, the Bible tells us that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is a constant. He's not going anywhere. He's not changing. He is not swayed by emotion. He is not, even when he was tempted, he never budged. He never hesitated. So we have to be able to understand that there's a real and solid foundation in Christ. And once you learn that, once you truly, truly have that as at your core, and you know who you are in Christ, which is something that we've discussed throughout the course of this class, when you understand and have that confidence in him, then you can be sure that your consistency will be easier to maintain and manage, because you're not going to be basing your reactions and your life choices on the feelings that you're coming at you. It's going to be based on your relationship with him, something that is solid, something that is firm, something that is trustworthy. So calling plus character plus commitment, calling plus character plus commitment will lead to consistency. The things that you do on a daily basis, the words that you say, the actions that you take, your relationship with the Lord. Are you praying every day? Are you reading his word every day? Are you taking the time that it would take to develop a relationship with him? Are you making sure that when you are have an opportunity to minister, and I'm not talking about preaching, but when you have an opportunity to minister others, that you are not just blowing that off, like you're taking that serious. And I've talked about it many, many times, but when you are called to ministry, every moment of your day is about ministry. Every person that you come across is about ministry. It is your consistent character. When, like for instance, today I'm going to the dentist, and every single time I've been to that dentist, I've always had the same attitude. I've always had the same smile. I've always been very friendly. I've had good manners. My children have done the same thing. And so they know when the Gillums come to get their teeth worked on, they don't have to wonder, who are we getting today? Are we getting the cranky Gillums? Are we getting the nice Gillums? Are we getting the respectful Gillums? So, and I know that seems like a simple thing, and maybe it is a simple thing, but it's an easy way to illustrate how important your consistency is, because people will start to rely on you based on your consistency. You want to be used of God? You want the doors to open for you to be able to speak, or to be able to minister in music, or to be able to work with young people, or whatever it is. Your character, the consistency that you show at every single service, the consistency that you show to your family, to your friends, to those there at the Bible school, that is all going to play a vital, vital role in whether or not people ask for you to minister. You want preaching engagements? You're going to have to be consistent in your character. You can't just be, half-hearted in this. It has to be a 100% commitment that shows in your consistent character and your consistent behavior. All right, so that is it for today. I know it was a shorter class. I am going to have a homework assignment that I will be posting in the group chat that later. It'll be this morning for you guys. And this is something that it may take a day or two for you to work on. I don't want this to be something that you do in a hurry. I want you to take some careful thought in regards to this. I really want you to think about it, to pray about it, and let the Lord kind of help you with this particular homework assignment. And you'll know what that means when I get it posted. But anyway, that's it. You guys have a great afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.